Some verbs use etre in the Passe Compose instead of avoir. This group of verbs can be remembered by using the House of Etre or the Dr. and Mrs. Vandertramp acronym. These verbs are usually coming and going verbs. When using etre in the Passe Compose, you must make the past participle agree when the person or subject is feminine by adding an e, or plural by adding an s, or sometimes both. This is the formula for how to form the Passe Compose using etre. You start with your person and then conjugate etre to match the person, and then you can add your past participle, which is typically going to be a coming or going verb, such as mourir, aller, sortir, venir, or naître. These are just a few examples. And then you can't forget to make your past participle agree if necessary with the person, like if it was feminine or plural. This is what the house of etre looks like. It's an easy way to remember the verbs that require etre as a helping verb in the Passe Compose. A few of them are entrer, which means to enter, rentrer, which means to re-enter, venir, which is to come, arriver, to arrive, revenir, to come back, mourir, to die, passer, to pass, retourner, to return, monter, to take up, rester, to rest, descendre, to descend, tomber, to fall, naître, to be born, aller, to go, partir, to leave, and sortir, to go out. This is the second way to remember the verbs that use etre as a helping verb in the Passe Compose. It's the same verbs that were in the house of etre, which are the coming and going verbs. They're just rearranged into an acronym that spells Dr. and Mrs. Vandertramp. And don't forget that these are just the infinitives for the verbs that take etre in the Passe Compose. You have to form the correct past participle depending on the type of verb it is. For example, the er verbs, you have to drop the r and add an accent to the e. Or for the ir verbs, you would just drop the r. Here are some example sentences using etre in the Passe Compose. The first example is Elle est allée au supermarché hier soir, which means she went to the supermarket last night. Ils sont partis la fête tôt, which means they left the party early. Je suis sortie avec mes amis, which means I went out with my friends. Nous sommes retournés à la maison il y a une heure, which means we returned to the house an hour ago. And vous êtes monté le métro rapide. This means you got on the metro quickly. Here's a quick practice exercise to help you with etre in the Passe Compose. Just fill in the blanks with the correct conjugated form of etre and a past participle so the sentence makes sense. And don't forget to check for agreement. Here are the answers to the practice exercise. Number 1, nous sommes allés à la campagne le week-end dernier. Number 2, vous êtes retourné de Paris hier soir. Number 3, je suis tombée. Number 4, elle est restée à l'hôtel pour 5 jours. 5, ils sont venus du café ou ils ont bu du thé. Here are a few etre verb expressions that you can use to make your writing more interesting. A few of them are etre d'accord, which means to agree, etre en train de, which means to be busy with, etre à, which means to belong to a person, etre à l'heure, to be on time, and etre en avance, which means to be early. Here's a few more. Etre en retard, which means to be late, etre pris de panique, which means to be overcome by panic, etre en pleine forme, to be in good shape, etre mauvaise or bonne humeur, which means to be in a good or bad mood, and etre dans son assiette, which means to feel like oneself. Here are some example sentences using the etre verb expressions. Je suis d'accord avec mes parents. Tu es en train d'étudier pour l'examen demain. Nous sommes en retard pour l'école. Vous n'êtes pas dans son assiette aujourd'hui. And elle est prise de panique de la tempête. Here's some practice sentences you can do on your own. Just fill in the blank with an etre verb expression that makes sense in the sentence. Here are the answers to the practice. 1. Elles sont à l'air pour la séance. 2. Les crayons sont à bord. 3. Il est en pleine forme parce qu'il fait du jogging souvent. 4. Tu es mauvaise humeur parce que tu n'as pas réussi ton examen. 5. Nous sommes en avance donc nous sommes libres pour une heure.